There was an old media not that long ago, a time dominated by giants like Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey, Ted Koppel, Sam Donaldson, people like that. And though others have taken their places, and there is still a large portion of aging Americans who are watching this and getting this as their source of news, it's being subjugated now by new media creators and different voices who are at odds with one another over picky details on the web. And there have been some spats on Twitter recently with some YouTubers that I really like. And so I wanted to talk about a little bit about that, because what's going on there is really what the media is. And as someone who watches an embarrassingly large amount of YouTube political content, as someone who's just hooked on this stuff and who always has it on in the background, it's interesting when people I like get caught up on different points. But really the big story, the news story that I wanted to cover today, is Oprah Winfrey running for president, and talk about it because she gave the Golden Globes Award speech last night, and she gave a very pedantic, we need to change America, we're doing our part to change America, and then, boom, instantly on Twitter there were numerous photos of her with Harvey Weinstein, and she knew, #she knew, but this is the strategy of the left, and they're going to bring out Oprah Winfrey, Hollywood elite. However, she did give a very moving account of seeing Sidney Poitier when on TV when she was young, but as Ben Shapiro fairly pointed out, I mean, it's not an adequate comparison to say that we are at the same time as the 60s. A lot has changed. We've even had a black president at this point, which many at that time didn't think was even possible by now. Of course, by now we only had 3-day work week, or work 3 hours a day or whatever it was. In the Jetsons, because everything was so efficient, people didn't work themselves to death. But anyway, we're still a bit off from Jetsons times. Things are getting weird, though. Just as we thought that Trump had no chance in hell, it seems like, to me anyway, I don't think Oprah has any chance in hell, but in this world, it's quite possible. I mean, who the fuck knows? Maybe Kid Rock will be the next president. Maybe Dwayne Elizondo, Mountain Dew, Herbert Camacho. He'll be the next one. We're not that far off at this point. And I'm not bad-mouthing Oprah. I think that unlike Trump, and we can debate about whether or not Trump is indeed illiterate, as David Pakman said. We'll get to him later. But I think that at least Oprah likes reading, and she promoted reading a lot. Also, her spirituality. She became like a figure of the New Age alongside Shirley MacLaine. Whereas Donahue would bring on Satanists to try to shock people during the satanic panic of the 80s. Like Oprah was fine with that. She was fine with bringing in speakers that were considered part of the New Age, including Marianne Williamson, who popularized A Course in Miracles. Now, I have a confession to make. I'm just about done with it. I started last year in February, and it's been pretty simple. I've just been writing the message every morning on a chalkboard near my bed. It's the first thing I do when I wake up. It's a good habit because I read that and then I start reading other things as well. I don't just go straight to Facebook or YouTube or whatever. I end up going through some articles or picking up a different book at some point. And it's also a great sign of discipline that I've been able to stick with it for a year, because like the first couple of times I tried it, I was only able to get through it for a couple of months at most. That was before tablets and things like that. Everything is more convenient now. You can access the course pretty much anywhere at any time. But it wasn't like that back when I first tried it. And I was introduced to it by the daughter of a pastor. I was dating this girl at this time. It was a long time ago, and I never met her dad. But she kept saying that was something that he relied on a lot, and I guess he was mainstream Protestant, like Lutheran or something, out in Wisconsin somewhere. Anyway, and I've read the text 3 times now, and it's an interesting text, and I think if you just based your life around that, it would make you a better person. And it's not like flowery conversations with God type stuff. It's written like a technical psychological manual, which makes sense because the scribe, I guess, or the author, whoever you want to look at it, Helen Schuckman was a PhD psychiatrist at Columbia, and so it sounds sort of like someone with her training, with her mind, would have that, and yet it's filled with religious language, and some of it seems to contradict the New Testament, the scriptures, and I'll get to all that later. I mean, it's an interesting topic, but I'll get through it, and then I'll give it a fair judgment. Anyway, this is the spirituality that she's promoted, and it's universalist, and it includes everyone, so I don't see what's wrong with it. But she's also been key in bringing figures like Deepak Chopra, whom we all love, and I think she had the conversations with God guy, whatever, don't remember his name right now, Dr. Phil. She's just made everyone celebrities. Just like she's just got a golden touch, a lot in the same way that Trump does. So we'll see. There's that great clip of her arguing with evangelical woman in her audience in the 80s, talking about Jesus is the only way and all that. And this is the stuff that I stay awake at night watching, and this is what I'm into. I'm okay with Oprah running, and I feel like she might win. But I kind of want the first female president to be running up against another woman. I think that would be interesting, because I think that would take away the whole sex card. It's like that Spider-Man meme. You're Well, okay, but you're Spider-Man, right? I got that all wrong. It's hard making these every day, Sit here trying to think of what to say. Oprah is going to, she's transcendent. She's a lot like Trump, as this 80s celebrity superstar who had everything and just kept growing her empire. And even The Onion had that hilarious article a few years ago where she launched her own reality, And she's sort of like, Rosie O'Donnell attempted to do the same thing, but Rosie O'Donnell failed at it because she's just not as camera friendly. She's not as good of an actress or anything. She's not as literate. Oh, here's what I was trying to tie it all back to. So, in promoting all this New Age spirituality, at the very least, Oprah has made people very literate. And there have been a few mistakes, like, okay, 1,000 Little Pieces. There's a big joke about that. The guy who faked his whole life and got away with it. And then he got back on her show and cried about it. But she got people to read, I think it was Tolstoy and stuff. Like, she's been promoting some very advanced books, and I would even put A Course in Miracles in that category, regardless of how you feel about it, spiritually, about that nuance. But anyway, it's just ridiculous, and it's the fact that this is the liberal response when everyone said, "Oh, let's have Bernie Sanders," and all the polls said that Bernie Sanders would win because Bernie was a populist who wasn't really known outside of Vermont when he started running, and who got lots of small contributions, and he got people at rallies strumming guitars and stuff. It's not what the people want. Well, it's what the media thinks the people want, because it's what the media is giving the people. But the old media, it's dying, it's collapsing. The legacy media is soon going to be gone. And against Trump, I don't think she would do that very well, because Trump, he got famous being a reality star for, having people compete for a job, whereas she got famous by giving everyone in her audience a car. And that was a meme that was retweeted by Sebastian Gorka, I think it was. I'm not sure where it came from originally, but that pretty much says it. That's the difference between the left and the right in America. And I remember after she gave away cars, and just the clips of that, it's unforgettable. One of those unforgettable TV moments where just people were just So freaking happy. It's sort of like Price is Right, only it's everyone in the audience wins, not just one of the contestants. I remember a news spot after that. I think it was Inside Edition or something. A lot of those people who got those free cars ended up with serious tax problems. And it ended up being a very bad thing where they tried getting rid of the vehicle and they weren't able to, and they were thrown into debt over it. And that's a good metaphor for socialism in the USA. Anyway, finally, I just wanted to talk briefly about some infighting going on with YouTubers. Like, I guess Tree of Logic and Styx Hexenhammer there was some fight about Israel, and she's come out as very, very pro-Israel and defending again Israel, and I really like that. And that's on one side where with other Republicans or with other right-wingers. I guess I side more with the Republicans in the sense that I am pro-Israel, and I think everyone should be. And I've thrown out these arguments that I got from figures like Noam Chomsky and others where this idea that there's an imperialist Israel. Well, where that distinction is drawn is kind of hard to find. And regardless of imperialism, I think the fruits of that society speak a lot. I think that somewhere with sites that valuable, of that value to so many diverse types of people around the world that would and could potentially get pilgrims from every corner of the earth, I think that the group that believes in keeping it open, the group that has the more tolerant ideology, should be in charge. That's what it comes down to. I mean, and I'm not Jewish. I don't really know that many Jewish people, and so I don't know much, or I don't know anything about Zionism really. I just know that I believe in a free society and I believe in an open world, and so I'm going to side with her on this point. Not that it really matters. I think people are just taking it a little bit seriously, and she does overreact quite a bit. But that's great. That's what we love about Tree of Logic. There was another thing where, I guess, okay, so Styx and Andy Worski and Sargon interviewed Jared Taylor, or not Jared Taylor. Forgive me for saying that. They interviewed Richard Spencer, the Nazi they punched and everything, right? Not they, but the Nazi that got punched in that famous meme from way back when now. And blah, blah, blah. I actually didn't watch it. I watched so much of this YouTube commentary stuff, I didn't get to that specific one. I didn't set aside an hour or two, or however long it was to get through all that yet. But apparently Sargon did poorly, and Styx did pretty well. But it raised, again, it comes up with the Jewish question, and these alt-writers, like, but okay, so David Pakman was criticizing them for that. And David Pakman is the guy, he had Richard Spencer on his show when Spencer still had bruises from getting punched at that rally way back when, that meme-creating rally. And he was just very critical. And so Styx made a video and came back, and at one point, and he took a couple of just fun, lighthearted digs at David Pakman, saying, okay, well, he's got the name of a video game character, which everyone thinks, but no one says. And then he says he's a cross between these two journalists, whatever. I didn't recognize one of them, but I Googled them to be sure, and I thought, okay, it looks pretty good, like a cross between these two. But I'm sitting there thinking that Styx is making fun of someone's appearance, and David pointed that out in a retweet. And almost every other case, every other time, I would say that Styx was making more sense than Mr. Pac-Man. But here it was pretty hilarious, because Styx, that's what everyone loves about him, is the glasses and the hair and just the scrawny kind of... that's his whole shtick, right? Anyway, it's all just good fun, and it's, at this point, like, I'm just watching it, like, from a distance on a wall, but to really love it, it helps to create content, and that's my excuse for watching so much. So, cheers to that, and good luck to Miss President Oprah Winfrey.